we're going to learn how to use Tinkercad Codeblocks by creating a button in Codeblocks. And so when I say button, I'm just going to share a quick picture. We're talking about clothing buttons. So we're going to create a round shaped button with 4 holes for sewing the button onto things. Essentially, after it's created in Tinkercad, then you could export it and 3D print it on one of our 3D printers. So let's go ahead into Tinkercad. You're going to look for the Create button. Looks something like this over here. On my screen, it's on the right side. My screen might look a little different than yours because I have a teacher account, but on your screen somewhere, find Create, and then you're going to scroll down and select Codeblocks. I'm going to move my screen up here to the top. There we go. Okay. I'm going to start by naming my file up here. So this is coding a button. All right. And we need to start by creating that basic shape for the button. We need a round shape. So we're going to start in the Shapes menu here and drag over the cylinder block. Now what we want to do is open up that block. There are some modifiers here. So when I click on this little arrow icon, I can adjust the measurements of my circle. You could do this. Let me grab a ruler. Right, you could make the size of your button kind of whatever size you want, essentially. In Tinkercad, you want to remember that this Tinkercad grid is in millimeters. So on a centimeter ruler, here's my centimeter ruler, this way, there we go. Along the bottom, centimeter ruler. Each of these numbers is a centimeter. Tinkercad is measuring in millimeters. That's those little lines there. 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeter. So we're measuring in millimeters. So in that case, if I'm thinking, let's see, if I want to make a button that's about, it's kind of big, but we'll say 3 centimeters. Then that means 30 millimeters. However, this measurement here is not asking for all the way across our button, right? So again, all the way across a button or all the way across a circle, that's your diameter. On our block, it's asking for radius, which is from the center of your circle to the edge. So from center of circle to the edge, let me grab a sticky note to draw that, right? That's going to be half of the total distance across the circle. So a circle from center to edge is radius, all the way across is diameter. There's a quick little reminder for you, okay? Our block is asking just for the radius from center outward. So for a 3 centimeter or 30 millimeter diameter, then my radius is half of that, 15 millimeters. Okay, so then in this box, I'm going to put 15. And then the height is going to be how tall our cylinder is. We want to, if we're making a button, we want it to be pretty small. If we leave this as it is and press play, so you press this play button at the top to see your shape, you can see that a height of 20 is pretty tall. It's not really a button. We can make this pretty thin. Let's go with 3, a height of 3. And there we go. Okay. Now edges, that will, if you zoom way in on your cylinder shape, you can see the edges on this circle. It's not smooth all the way around. If you want to play with the edges here, right, that will give you like a beveled look. So that's an option as well. You can also play with edge steps here a bit. I'm going to get rid of this back to 0. Edge steps would be, let's see if I can, my block is a little bit messed up here. I'm going to open and close it again. And let me try and trash that. My block's doing something weird. Okay, there we go. So I went with a radius of 15 millimeters, my height down to 3. Sides, I'm sorry, if I adjust the sides here, that will help smooth out my circle a bit. You can start to see it smoothing out. The edge is what we played with to get a little bit of like a bevel around the edge. So you could play with that a little bit, and edge steps as well. I'm not going to do that right now. but I will keep my sides. And then I'm going to change my color, but this is not going to matter if I'm exporting it to 3D print. But just for fun, I'm going to play with the color. Okay, that's a bit better. All right, I'm going to go back to my home view here. And now, if I tilt my screen, you can see that that cylinder is going through the print bed. We're not going to want that if we plan to export this. So what we need to do is go to the purple blocks, and we're going to get a move block. And next we're going to move that cylinder up on our screen. So we have to use the coordinate grid to do that. The way our coordinate grid works is we've got X is our left to right, Y is our top to bottom on the coordinate plane, and then the Z axis is going to be our up and down. So it looks something like this. So in order to move our cylinder up on the bed, we're actually going to move it up and down on the Z axis. And if we move it by 1 and press play, we'll see that now it's no longer going through our print bed. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Now what we want to do, we're almost there already, is add the circles for our button. And so the way we're going to do that, we're going to kind of repeat this similar pattern over and over again. So we're making another circle. So again, that will be another cylinder. Okay. These are going to be holes. So what we're going to do is select this transparent color to make a hole. And I'm going to make these pretty small. I'll give it a radius of 3. The height, I don't need to worry about. We're using this to punch a hole through. So we actually want it to be tall. So it goes all the way through our base shape. Sides, I'm going to smooth those out again. And then what I need to do is tell my cylinder where to go punch out that hole. And I'm going to use a coordinate system again to do that. And you can, I'm using one, move block. Okay. You can experiment with this a bit. I'm going to put this at X of 6, and I'm checking my notes, Y of 6, and Z of 0. So if my radius of my main circle is 15, 6 is a little less than halfway up and a little less than halfway over. And let's play that to see where that first one goes. There we go. So there's my first hole punch. All right. And now I need to do this in 3 more places. So I can actually right click or 2 fingers, 1 click to duplicate some blocks. So I'm going to do that because I want this hole to be the same size as the first one. And then now I just need to change where on the coordinate grid I want these to go. So this one is at X of 6, Y of 6. If I want this over here, then I'm still going to go up Y of 6, but I'm going left for the video, left here on my X axis, which is a negative number. So this is going to be negative 6, but the Y is still going to be a positive 6. So let's test that out as well. There we go. I'm going to do the next 2 pretty quickly. We're going to just duplicate. I'll do this negative, and then now my Y negative. Let's run that, and I should have 3. You can also speed this up if you want it to run your blocks a little faster. I'm going to do that for the last one. And this should be, let's see. Nope, I want to go positive X this time. So to the right, but down again, and I'm going to run this faster. There we go. Looks good. Now the last thing we want to do is we need to group these to punch our holes. So still in our purple blocks, we're going to go to right here, create group. And this is going to group all of your shapes together, which will then take those transparent pieces and create holes. So I'm going to slow this down for the final run and create group. And there's our button. And then the last step is if you want to send this to the 3D printer, you would need to export this file for 3D printing, which is going to be an STL file.